Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another video. Joined by Tom again today. We're going to sit down and talk about Jordan Pickford and basically his improvements over the last few games or so. I know he gave away a penalty in the game against Chelsea, but we'll skate over that. How good he has been since the Merseyside derby, how he seems a lot more concentrated as well, and just his general future, because again I think he's another player who there's been a lot of question marks about, certainly this season with some of the mistakes that he's made, but he's turned up in the last few games or so, and for me anyway, I think we should just get behind him and support him going forward and see how he ends the season. But we'll talk loads more about that. We're joined by Tom, of course. Before we get into this video, don't forget to check out the Football News 365 app. You can check it out in the link in the description. It's free to download on the App Store, on Google Play. Keeps you up to date with all your latest Everton news, scores, stats, all of that good stuff, fixtures as well, and the Premier League table. You use the link in the description. It would massively help us out on the channel. It would also help Dan out, who runs the app, who's a massive Everton fan himself. So if you could check that out first, link in the description, that would mean a great deal to me. Anyway, Tom, Jordan Pickford then, like I said, obviously, he stepped into the Merseyside derby a few weeks back. A lot of pressure on his shoulders, a lot of talk from the media, discussions about the previous Merseyside derby and basically how they hadn't shut up since October. And he stepped in and I think he proved a lot of people wrong, probably all of us Evertonians included as well, and put in a performance that was just absolutely exceptional. Made some unbelievable saves from Mo Salah, from Henderson as well, and he kept us in the game on a number of occasions. And since then, obviously, we've played Southampton, West Brom, 2 clean sheets in those games, made 2 massive saves in both of those games as well. Obviously the Chelsea game was a difficult one. He did give away the penalty, which I'm sure we'll talk about, but again, made 5, 6, 7 absolutely top quality saves to keep the scoreline down. Wasn't at fault for the first goal either. It was an unlucky deflection. Jordan's a player who we've spoken about multiple times, Tom, on the live streams and the videos before, about whether or not, it's always the topic of conversation when you talk about where Everton need to improve going forward and in the next summer. We know right back and right mid, and we'll talk about them a little bit later on in these videos, and various other positions that we need to strengthen in. But goalkeeper's always the one that people say, well, do we need a new goalkeeper? And again, I always say football is a sport for people who like to constantly change their mind, and maybe 6 months ago we'd have said, yeah, definitely we need a new goalkeeper, but now it might be a little bit different. I think one thing we have to do is really rally behind Jordan Pickford now, Tom, because he has been exceptional in the last 4 games, hasn't he? Albeit the penalty situation, taking that away, he hasn't put a foot wrong.
No, I mean, in terms of his last four games, I think, from my personal point of view, I think he's been man of the match.
Yeah.
I think the game against West Brom, I think the game against Southampton, I think the game against Liverpool, I think he won us the game with his saves.
Yeah.
I mean, internally, the save against Jordan Henderson, I think that totally went under the radar for him to get to that, and then he goes. I think the West Brom one was fantastic. I mean, a few people were saying like, "Oh, he's stretching. He's small. He should be comfortable." But silly comments like that, you just can't take on board, because then you saw, if you're gonna sort of critique a goalkeeper when he's pulled off a fantastic save, then there's a bit of agenda going on there, and you've got to put his errors and all that to one side now.
Yeah.
I think he's come back from injury and it's a brand new Jordan Pickford, really. I think his attitude's changed. I think his concentration's changed. I think the realisation's hit that his job is up for grabs, really. I mean, Olsen come in, he done well, but I think when Jordan did come in, I think he showed he's a bit of a class above Robert Olsen, to be honest with you. I think in terms of distribution, his exits, his saves, I think he's been brilliant since his return. And let's be dead. I think we get that he's made through the season, but in the last 3 games against West Brom, Southampton, Liverpool, he's won us 9 points.
Yeah, I agree.
That's huge. That's huge for Everton, especially when you're only winning 1-0 on 2 occasions, and then. Listen, it could have been 1-0 against Liverpool, but we got a penalty at the end. I mean, that's just that's the difference of where Everton could be, where 10th or something. He over the last three 3 weeks or so, Jordan's put us into that position. And I know you can look at Chelsea and you can sort of say, "Oh, he's done it again," but a lot of keepers do that.
Yeah, yeah,
A lot of keepers make a decision. I don't want a keeper who is in two minds.
yeah,
I don't want a keeper like that. So either he makes the decision and he gets it wrong, that's fair enough, or he stays on his line and he gets it right. But he's got to make a decision.
yeah,
Too many times, if Jordan come out, stopped, and then gone again, we'd all be screaming and shouting, going, he'd have got there.
yeah.
But it's just, listen, he's missed it. But unfortunately for him, if the ball never bobbled up, if you go look at it, he'd have got it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he doesn't necessarily have it. He doesn't necessarily take and wipe him completely out. He nearly gets. But in turn, that game could have been 4 or 5-0 if Jordan went in goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a toss of the coin. But I do think he is now sort of sat back, done a bit of self-reflection and things like that. And listen, he put the Derby demons to bed. And I think, like we say, I think last time we spoke, I think we were very, very much convinced that Liverpool game where he made the mistake was the catalyst of a year-long bad performance out of Jordan, where he couldn't really shake it off. And let's hope now that man of the match performance against Liverpool can be the catalyst of bigger and better things for him.
Yeah, absolutely. You're spot on, and you mentioned some of the saves that he's made there, and I completely agree. By the way, I said from the Liverpool game, Southampton game, and the West Brom game, the three of them, I said Richarlison and Jordan Pickford have won us those games of football. Richarlison obviously with the goals. I know Gylfi got the penalty in the derby and it was a little bit different, but certainly Southampton and West Brom, Richarlison with both of the goals, and Jordan Pickford pulling up some excellent saves. That save in the West Brom game is just absolutely unbelievable. It's another level, because if you watch the replay, even now when I watch the slow motion replay, I'm still convinced that goes in the back of the net, because he doesn't seem to be anywhere near it, and from out of nowhere he gets a touch to it. And I agree, if you're complaining about that, if you're picking faults in that, then you're just looking for any reason to pick faults. And it's a world class save. The Vestergaard one, I know he's a centre-half. I know he was slightly off balance. I know it was a snapshot, but Jordan still had to be in the right place at the right time. And I think with Jordan Pickford, Tom, he's always been a good shot-stopping goalkeeper. Even during his bad times and when he's made his mistakes and when there's been questions around him, he's never really been a goalkeeper that can't make those saves. The Mohamed Salah save in the derby was absolutely exceptional, but I wasn't massively surprised by that, because he is that goalkeeper that's always in front of the striker. He's making those one-on-one saves. It's the simplistic bits that he usually gets wrong, the comfortable headers where he doesn't just catch them, he throws them back out, or the defending corners, or the distribution at times hasn't been great. But they're all things that he's worked on as well. For me, the more surprising save in the derby, I don't know if you remember it, was the Mane header rather than the Salah shot, because the Salah shot was an excellent opportunity and obviously he makes a brilliant save. Mane, I don't know if you remember, he was left free open in the box, and and it wasn't a great header. He headed it straight.
Was that in the second half and Godfrey got a little bit of a run on Godfrey?
Yeah, it was at 1-0 and it wasn't the greatest header. He headed it right into him, but Jordan just caught it. And for that's I don't want to say that's the more surprising, but that's for me the more impressive save, because they're the type that maybe in times he's made mistakes in, he's flapped that he hasn't quite been as concentrated, but what he has seemed recently in recent weeks, I think, Tom, is just completely concentrated. It's just tunnel vision in terms of, right, I need to do what I need to do, I need to be concentrated, I need to know where he is, what the striker's doing, where the ball is, on corners I need to know what I'm going to do, I need to make that decision. And I agree with the penalty as well, by the way. I think if he hadn't made as many mistakes as maybe he has in the past, it wouldn't even be a conversation. It'd just be he's made the wrong decision. Like you said, name me a goalkeeper that hasn't done that in their career, where they've come out and they've thought he could get the ball and they haven't. If he doesn't come out and Havertz maybe knocks it past and Godfrey takes him over, then you're probably saying, why doesn't Jordan Pickford just come out and command that area? He makes a decision. It's the wrong decision. I don't think we should be getting on his back for it, simply because, like you said, the Alonso save in the first half is exceptional. The double save from, I think it's Werner and Kante, is absolutely brilliant. He made another 2 or 3 saves from Timo Werner. In terms of his improvements then, and I agree. I want to talk a little bit more about the derby in a second, and how sort of he's gone from one Merseyside derby a few years ago really being the downfall of him to this one seemingly to be the, like you said, the catalyst for hopefully a run of fantastic performances. Let's talk about Robin Olsen for a second then. Obviously he come in the summer, and Carlo Ancelotti hasn't been shy in chopping and changing them. He hasn't been shy in, as he says, resting goalkeepers and rotating. He come out, I think, a week or so ago, Carlo Ancelotti, and said he believes that Jordan's improvements are down to the rotation and taking him out the team during hard sort of times. Do you agree with that? Do you think having Robin Olsen in there, and not just having a goalkeeper who we've had in previous years, like maybe Jonas Leisel or Stecklenberg, who you look at, or as much as the manager might say, yeah, he's pushing Jordan Pickford, you look and you think, I don't think Jordan had missed a Premier League game since he'd been at Everton until this season. I think he played 3-4 seasons consistently, not missing a Premier League game. Robin Olsen comes in, and all of a sudden Carlo Ancelotti isn't afraid to take Jordan out and say, you're not even sitting on the bench today, you're gonna watch, and Robin Olsen's gonna play Leicester away, put in a really good performance, and all of a sudden you're thinking, right, is Robin Olsen gonna be the number one now? Do you think that sort of maybe triggered the switch in Jordan Pickford's head to think, I'm not guaranteed a place here, and more so because I think he's very international based pride as well. Maybe he's thought, if I'm not getting in the Everton team, there's not a chance I'm getting in the England team for the Euros, and that has triggered an improvement in him, because now he's not as complacent as, well, I'm going to be here every week, so it doesn't really matter. Now he's thinking, if I don't put a decent performance in, there's a Swedish international goalkeeper here who could easily take me spot. I know he hasn't been in there for the last couple of weeks. Do you think that's sort of been a help towards the improvement of Jordan Pickford as well?
Yeah, I think you could say that about every position, really, couldn't you? I mean, in terms of other players that have sort of improved, you sort of. I think. Listen, I think you see very similar things with Luca Dean. Luca Dean's an excellent left back, but sometimes you watch him and you think he's having a bit of a day off today, because there's no real competition there, and it's sort of like it's just a natural thing to do, to sort of like rest on your laurels, don't you? So like, in terms of if you look at the competition that he did have before Robin Olsen, I think Jonas Losel, not really a Premier League kid, Chal Virginia, not even close, under 23s, went on loan to Reading and things like that. So he hasn't really ever had this competition where they're bringing in a solid international goalkeeper who has been at top leagues and playing at top clubs. Yeah. So I think in terms of that, you're right. But I think you made a very key point about the international situation. I think he's very proud in being England's number one. Yeah. You can tell he's very proud with having that. And I think with the whole talk in the media and things like that, trying to push Dean Henderson, Nick Pope, and things like that to the forefront for the Euros, I feel like that has genuinely like got the fire burning again for Jordan. And I think as well, I could eat my words for this one, but I think the erraticness has just completely gone out of his game. Yeah. There's some instance through the season where you think he should have saved that, but there's not really anything where you think he's just made a crazy error there. Like, not in terms, you could probably look back at the early start of the season and think that, but I think he's slowly started to take that out of his game.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think in terms of, he got injured. He was out for 3 games, and Olsen come in. Olsen played very well against Leeds, and he played very well against Manchester United. A little bit different against Fulham, but you wouldn't be human if you're not sat at home watching that and thinking, I need to pull my finger out here. Yeah. And listen, don't forget, you know, he won the Player of the Year one time at Everton.
Yeah, first season.
He was very highly rated at England as well. He was already getting looked at for England over Joe Hart and things like that, and you know, he was already getting touted as being the next England number one when he was younger at Sunderland, and when he comes to Everton, he got his chance. But you don't all of a sudden become a bad keeper overnight and start and winning Player of the Years and Young Player of the Year and thing like that, and then just all of a sudden just go out. I think what the key is, I think we just got to look at psychological side of it, and
Yeah, absolutely.
just after seeing in terms of a young lad, he was in the papers a few times doing young lad things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He couldn't catch a break in them terms, but I think he certainly turned a corner. And listen, the key for me is the derby. He's literally put that team into bed. So I think this could be a catalyst. And to answer your question on the whole, do we give him a second chance? I think from now till the end of the season, if he does continue this form for the next 11 games, then I don't really necessarily think there's any argument.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I think a key word is that we're looking for from Jordan is a key word that we're looking for from every Everton player, and we seem to mention this all the time, Tom, and that's consistency. And I think if you sat down with any Evertonian and said, look, Jordan Pickford puts in that derby performance consistently week in, week out, I think we all want him as number one, because I think he's one of the best goalkeepers in the country doing that. It's that inconsistency of sometimes making those mistakes, and I actually really agree with the point that you've made there. I do think that he has started to remove those rash mistakes, those rash errors, those lapses of concentration. And you know, I do think the international situation maybe is weighing on him a little bit. I do think the Robin Olsen situation as well, where he's thinking, you know, if I'm not getting in at Everton, there's not a chance I'm getting in at England. He knows that Gareth Southgate is a fan of him as well, and he knows Gareth Southgate's always said, you know, he hasn't made the mistake for me, so he's going to be in there. But he's going to be sitting there thinking, well, if I've gone half of the season not playing because the manager prefers another goalkeeper, there's not a chance I'm getting in the Euros. Like you said, I think that derby was a turning point, and I hope it is a massive turning point for Jordan, because there's not a question about it, Tom, is the the topic and the title of this video is going to be why we should rally behind Jordan Pickford, and I think the reason for that is because he has had tough times, and look, he's made some silly mistakes, and he's done some things that you make you think, oh, what are you doing? And I remember when he'd let the ball go underneath his legs last season, saved it on the line and laughed at the camera. I still put that down to he's got that type of personality where when he's nervous he laughs. There's a lot of people like that.
There was a lot of immaturity.
Yeah. Again, maturity is a massive word. He seems to have matured, doesn't he, over the last few weeks and months?
Yeah, I think. Listen, he's 26. He's got a young family now, and I think you're starting to see him sort of calm down in a sense.
Yeah.
Where he won't do the mad things that he's probably been doing. He's probably thought he was on top of the world.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't blame him to think that. I mean, he was England number one, and he's riding high, isn't he? But adversity comes into life on most occasions, and
absolutely,
it's how you deal with it. And I think with Jordan, I think he's shown how good of a character and how good of a man he could possibly be, because listen, the exit door was wide open.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of fans, and myself and you and everyone including, were convinced halfway through a season we were looking at a new goalkeeper in the summer. And listen, like you say, fans and ourselves are very week by week, aren't we? We sort of make decisions and emotions on one performance. But if you take this year in, you look at it, yeah, he has made a few, but I think it's this turn, since February, this is a different Jordan Pickford to me.
Yeah.
And I think that the old classic saying is that goalkeepers get better with age, and he's coming into that bit of a gap now where he's going to be 27, coming into that 27, 31, 32 era, where he's going to have to step up. And if he doesn't step up, then he's only going one way, and he's going to go down the leagues. But I think when you look at other keepers, his size and his physicality, and that you look at Schmeichel and things like that, I think he's going to be far. I think he's got the ability and the capability to be far better than a Schmeichel. And I think as well, even if you look back, everyone thinks Tim Howard was sent brilliant for us. Listen, Jordan Pickford has got the ability, and if he adds the consistency, he could be far better than what keepers I've seen. I wouldn't necessarily say what other people have seen down the years with Neville Southall. But listen, even if you look at what Neville Southall said, he's always backed them.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's always backed them. So I think we've got to take that into consideration as well. And listen, if he can get to if he can continue this, then it's only a benefit to Everton.
Brilliant. Absolutely, I agree. And he deserves a lot of credit, Jordan, doesn't he, himself, for getting rid of those demons and turning up with that sort of concentration. And I think you brought up a really good point there is, again, you know, I have mentioned that a couple of times, it's probably not my space to say, but in terms of personalising the personal life of footballers, he has got a young family now, so he naturally, as a human being, will have had to have grown up a lot over the last however many months since he, you know, him and his partner have had their child. So that maturity and turning up to training and thinking, right, I need to just cut out the silly act now and the acting like a fool, because this manager here, Carlo Ancelotti, 3-time Champions League winner, if he wants to go out and sign a better goalkeeper, he'll do it, no problem. So I need to prove to him that I'm good enough to be in this Everton team, I'm good enough to be playing in a team that are fighting for Champions League, I'm good enough to be turning up and winning us games of football. And ultimately, that's what he's done over the last 2 or 3 games. He's won us. He won us the derby for me with his saves. He won us the game against Southampton, and he won us the game against West Brom. I know you could say, yeah, but he gave a penalty away in the game against Chelsea. But again, you know, we already conceded in that game, and we didn't look like we were going to score to get back in it anyway. And if it wasn't for Jordan, we could have lost 4, 5, 6-0. He made some absolutely excellent saves. So I think as a fan base now, Tom, look, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, of course, and some people might still think we need a new goalkeeper in the summer. But for me, I think we need to rally behind Jordan Pickford, because he has also had times when Evertonians, like you said, have maybe turned a little bit, and we've all sat there, me, you, everyone has sat there and said we need a new goalkeeper in the summer. But now that he's playing with confidence, I think we should get behind him. And look, if he can add consistency to his game, he's not just a good enough keeper for Everton, he's one of the best keepers in the country, isn't he?
Yeah, listen, I think it's fair. I think we're missing a little bit of a point here, and we're talking about is that situation where he had to deal with the media and things like that attacking him in terms of the Van Dijk situation. I think that it was absolutely disgraceful. Yeah. Now, when you take ourselves back to that situation where we're saying he's a young family and things like that, he had to have security. It all come out, didn't it? And he was getting absolutely, like, this is a lad who's 26, who's already had sort of doubts about his performance and his ability from a previous Liverpool game. Yeah. And now he's got to deal with sort of ending apparently someone's career, which was just absolute utter nonsense. So I think when you look at that and you look at that situation, maybe it was just very good management in terms of what Ancelotti did. Yeah. I mean, he played him against Southampton, but then he didn't play him against Newcastle because of his history with Newcastle and what's been between him and Newcastle. So listen, this is where we see the erraticness and sort of he pulled on a Sunderland shirt in occasions where that immaturity did come out in times. So I think that sort of time period was, listen, we can't even quantify like how what he was going through or what his partner was going through in terms of that, especially in a lockdown as well. Yeah. You've got to deal with that, then you've got to deal with this, the constant. I mean, let's be serious about this. It wasn't just a week of just torn. It was months and months, and it even gets mentioned today. So I think again this season, I think he's had a lot to deal with. Yeah. I think he's had a lot to deal with, and I think he did turn a corner in December. I thought he was very, very good in December. You look at the run of fixtures, what Everton had and what we won. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You see, he only missed one Leicester game, and I think in terms when you do see Robin Olsen, you give him we did give him a full thing. When Jordan come in, I don't know about you, but I just felt more comfortable with him. And I just thought that first game when he come back against City, I thought he's just better. He's just his distribution and things like that. He's just a much more rounded goalkeeper. And listen, let's hope we can put these things that have gone on this season with him behind him, and he can kick on again this season when we're all back and we can cheer him on. Absolutely.
No, I agree, spot on. You brought a really good point up there about the media as well. Even the day of the derby, a couple of weeks ago, there was still that picture in the newspaper. He was still going at him, and Jordan done very, very well to step up in that game and just completely wipe the eye of the entire media pretty much, and well, certainly the entire media that were pushing that story.
Sorry, Cam, as well. So, just on that game against Liverpool, it was a derby.
Yeah.
Two, it was the game after the derby that he supposedly done Van Dijk or done him. And three, Liverpool were waiting to get him on that
Yeah,
pitch and celebrate in front and demoralise
yeah,
him and belittle him in front of the world.
yeah.
They were desperate for it. They were absolutely desperate for, because you don't see him ever again. You don't see him on other
No.
things.
Yeah,
Just that specific thing, and the way Klopp and that was talking before the game.
yeah,
Just think of the pressure and what he's at, and he's come out and done a performance like that.
yeah.
It's fantastic. And I don't think I think a lot of people are numb and see these players as robots and things
Yeah.
like that. But the amount of stuff he's had to deal with, and then to come out and just put a performance in like that, hands
Excellent.
up, and listen, he deserves it. As far as I'm concerned, he deserves another season.
Absolutely. I agree, mate. I agree. So do you agree with myself and Tom in terms of that we need to rally behind Jordan Pickford now? And like I said, the goalkeeper shouldn't be a position that we're looking at in the summer. Let's get behind them. Obviously, we've got the Euros in between then, so we'll deal with them as they come. But get behind them and hope that he can add that consistency to his game, because if he can add that consistency to his game, I think we've got a top goalkeeper. And another example of a goalkeeper in Premier League yesterday who started his career quite poorly was David De Gea at Man United. I remember watching him as a young lad and thinking, this lad is atrocious. He's never going to be a Man United keeper. Couple of seasons it took him to settle in, and you know, again, very similar to Jordan Pickford, it was silly mistakes he was making. He got rid of them and he went on to be a Premier League winning goalkeeper, and he was the best in the world. At one point he was absolutely exceptional. So again, it's that old saying, and it's Tom, if you make a mistake in midfield, you sound because the defenders get it. If you make a mistake in goal, then it's back pages of the newspaper and everyone's talking about it. But listen, let us know what you think about Jordan Pickford in the comment section down below. Massive thanks for joining us once again today. If you've enjoyed this video, please do hit that like button. Really do appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. Massive thanks for Tom for joining us as well today. We both think that we should give Jordan Pickford another season and rally behind him and support him. Let us know what you think in the comment section. Massive thanks for watching. Leave a like if you've enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you soon.